This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1880, Catscan and Robin.
Yo.
Hello.
What's up?
Hi, guys. Just a minute. There we go. That's
Look at that.
Hi, Horde there.
Adam Emer here.
Oh, there it is. There's my gallery.
Peter, are you in a hospital bed?
He is.
Wow. This episode's full of surprises. What happened, Peter?
I don't know if you can hear me, but all the talk between Bryan and Shane and their stomach issues, and I'm here with some weird pain in my left side.
Well, that's where my diverticulosis always was.
It's just a little pregnancy gone wrong.
Jeez.
Should have taken the morning after pill.
I won't be here long, probably, before I have to sign off. But at least this way you guys can communicate.
Damn.
Unbelievable.
So let me just say happy belated birthday, Kevin.
Oh, well, thank you.
Happy
Indeed.
upcoming birthday, Adam.
Indeed.
Thank you.
And happy birthday, Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100.
Centennial.
Centennial, yep.
Well, to add to the birthday talk, I will say we took Ben out for his 21st birthday a few days ago. We went to Flanagan's at midnight and had a couple drinks, and he had a good time, and we came home. That was it. It was good. 21. If anybody who's listening can believe that from seeing him at super shows and events when he was barely out of a stroller.
You just shut your mouth. That means when we were doing Crusaders, he wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
my-
He was born 2001.
Yeah. How do you like that?
I don't, Kevin. I don't like it at all. I don't.
Neither do I.
Yeah, dude. We're going on, what, 23 years ago for Crusaders next month?
Probably.
Did we start in '99? I thought we started in 2000.
No,
We started
2000.
in 2000. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's not much better.
Oh yeah. Right. What the
Next
hell?
year's
My math is
23,
all. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 23 years in January.
Well, look at Bryan with a whole new mic setup now.
Yeah,
Wow.
I like the
Stepping up to this
lights.
game.
Does it sound good?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I was
looks
thinking of
good.
getting something different than this stupid headset.
This was very inexpensive. I got it for Hazel. She was doing streaming for a while last year, and but now it's been sitting in the basement like unused for a number of months. And I was like, hey, I could just quickly set that up at my desk.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, like good USB mics like this now are like you can get them for $60 or whatever.
Really?
Oh yeah, and some of them even come with the stand and everything. Like it just depends. There's different ones all the time, different deals, and they all sound 100 times better than the headsets or the little, earbuds or whatever. So
I might have to look at that. I got an Amazon gift card for Christmas, which I'm going to show something I bought with it, but I have some of it left yet, and that might be a good purchase to make.
So welcome, Adam.
Thanks, guys. It's nice to have a seat at the big kids table here.
This is just the more immature table.
yeah,
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
At least we tried that because we're tired of talking about old people problems. As
As I
feel like-
as I lay in the hospital bed,
Yeah,
dying.
God, I hope not. Jesus.
yeah, Christ, shut your mouth.
I thought that would be a fun. I was hoping to get Adam just because I wasn't sure because of the whole Christmas and holiday, and so I'm glad it worked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, suddenly I find myself with a lot more free time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Mhm.
I'm sure that does not upset you at all.
No, not at all. No. Yep, this is a great way to start to spend it.
Good.
I
Excellent.
stopped at the barn, and
Yeah.
as I emailed, and you weren't there, but they said you were going to go caroling that night in that like negative.
Oh, yeah, you went that one night, dude. I was like, oh my God, I saw you announce that. And I was like, holy mackerel. Good for you.
I did not freeze. I'm happy to say the wind died down. There was no wind chill factor. We were just out there caroling outdoors for 5 or 6 hours in just still cold air. And we were all pretty safely layered. We were wearing our Victorian woolen greatcoats and
Sure.
like multiple shirts on under that. And the top hats we usually wear were ruled out because of the risk of wind. We didn't want them blowing away and like bringing snowmen to life or anything. So we wore actual warm knit hats instead. And so that helped. So it was a nice night, really, all told. I've had much worse Christmas Eves.
I was curious, Adam, if there has ever been an instance where it had to be canceled.
No, actually, we make a big deal of that. There was one year early on in the group's history, back in the 1850s, when one guy just went out. Yeah, we've been doing that since 1848, if I hadn't mentioned.
Oh, mackerel.
Year number 175 for the Glen Rock Carolers.
You're older than you look, Adam.
I know. I age spectacularly.
I knew he was an elf.
Yeah. There was one guy who went out in a blizzard and just did the lone caroler thing and kept the streak going.
Okay.
So we've made it a point. Not even COVID could slow us down. We had to make special changes to our routes and everything to avoid violating the governor's ban on gatherings outdoors of more than 50 people. So we had to split into squads of like 25 people each, and each covered half the route in the driving rain, I might add, in 2020. So that is the worst Christmas Eve I've ever known.
Wow.
Yeah, just a couple of nights ago here in 2022 did not come close to that.
Okay. That's awesome.
Congratulations. That's phenomenal. That's been going on that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice little tradition. It's town's becoming known for it. They actually put up a caroler monument a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
Where at?
That's cool.
Just right in the middle of town, right next to where the town Christmas tree usually is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
the township
neat.
building over that way.
You know what?
Near the township building over in that area.
It's across the street from the Glen Rock Mill Inn.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kind of by the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Okay.
That's cool.
So speaking of 23 years ago in Crusaders, I actually have the box of tapes right here behind me, Kevin, and not the VHS tapes, like the original tape that we filmed it on, right?
Oh, so, yeah.
Early like in January, I'm going to take them and have them converted to digital, like onto a hard drive or whatever. And Kevin, I'm going to send you a copy because those lost episodes are on there that we never edited together.
Yeah.
7. Or we didn't do 7. We just did 6.
We did 6. We had 7 was ready to go, but we never filmed it.
And then, of course, all of the bloopers that we have to pull out some bloopers from. Like, we may never spend the time to go through all out. Like, there's so many hours of footage there that we shot. Yeah. But, man, we could easily get like a 15-minute blooper reel by going through 2 tapes, because there's more bloopers than real footage.
Yeah, if you're going to do it right. That's the thing that pisses me off with the blooper reels when they're like 3 minutes long. I'm like, give me something, there's more than that out there, Yeah.
Well, for we have an hour of finished footage. That means we have about 7 hours of bloopers because, man, we did a lot of screwing around on that.
We had to. Freaking had to. Being out there till midnight half the time. And
yeah. So anyway, I look forward to seeing those, Go ahead, Peter. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. The other thing we need to do is resurrect Marty Devine's long lost Crusaders radio drama.
Oh God.
Radio show. Yeah.
I know where my script for that is.
even if we do one scene and we like have people do multiple characters, you know what I mean? Like trying to get the whole group in is going to be just a nightmare. I mean, even though it might be easier with Zoom, actually, we probably could get like data or whatever.
It's worth a shot.
I think it's like, like go look at it, see who can do more than one voice, so that we can split up the parts and just go bonkers with it. I think that could be, even if it's just like one scene, one of the best scenes. I think we should do that.
If you're going to commit to that, just do it, and then don't tell anybody, and then we'll just release it when it's done.
Well, now we're telling everybody.
There's 3 people that listen.
They won't know when it's coming.
Anybody listening to this?
Can we get David D to be Mr. Marvelous or something?
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we can get substitutes if need be.
Probably. Yeah. I can't see why I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can find a substitute for Dana.
We could get Dana. I'm sure we could get Dana. I still game with Dana, and
I know. But because he was dubbed, that's what.
Oh, right. So just anybody
right.
can be Dana. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Whatever
His name. Dr. Devious?
I think I was cast for that, and we even recorded a little audio promo with the 2 of us, Peter.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, neither do I.
Me as Dr. Devious, and you as your character.
Oh, right.
The Black Ghost.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So we'll have to think about that. So we'll put our heads together and we'll.
Yeah, we should do that. That'd be a cool thing to put out there.
We should just do it live. We should just say, screw it, just do it live.
Well, that's what they did at COVID. I mean, they were doing those script read-throughs.
Live table read.
Yeah, they were doing that. So why not?
Well, that's how we filmed Crusaders. I mean, who was rehearsing?
I was winging production.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was talking to Tasha. Like, that's when I met Peter and Shane is through Crusaders. Yeah. I knew Kevin beforehand, and obviously I knew my brother and Alex, because Alex was supposed to be involved. He was a goon in like 2 episodes.
Yeah, he was a goon. Yeah.
And then that's how I met the other 2.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's really, it all started with Crusaders, in a way.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
I did that to Alex once. Before I moved, we had a Steelers group and he was part of it. So we used to go, watch Steelers games on Sundays. And for the one time we were at the bar and I just said to him, I was like, let's get this thing rolling. And he caught it because that was the only line he ever had.
Yeah. The truck
he
or whatever.
Took a double take at me and he was like, well, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, I remember. And then we had, I actually uploaded all the episodes onto my YouTube channel from the disc, from the deep, from the DVD. And when I was doing that, I was going through them, and I remember that when Neil was the mayor and he couldn't get his lines, so we ended up having to do different camera shots at other characters while he had to read his lines off camera because he kept screwing them up on camber. I forgot all
so
about
many
that.
takes.
Oh my God, it was
so many takes.
I forgot all about that. That's one thing I completely forgot about.
Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot until you just said it.
Yeah.
Wait, if Neil was the mayor, who was Shane? Shane was the mayor, wasn't he? Or did it change?
I was a mayor at one point.
Shane was a judge, right? Wasn't Shane a judge too? Weren't you a judge?
No, that was John.
Oh, John was the judge. Yeah.
John Shearer was a judge and he was the janitor. Shane, what shit.
Wait, who was the guy that had he was kind of bald? And had glasses. I thought he was the judge.
Jamie. No, Dave LaManna.
No. Yeah, Dave
LaManna, right. You're right. Dave LaManna was the judge. John was the janitor.
He was the janitor. He was only the janitor, yeah.
But Neil was
some congressman or something. Or
councilman,
senator.
Something.
Something.
Must have been something like that. I thought he was the mayor.
Okay, so who did Jamie play?
The villain.
He's some businessman. Yeah. Also some counselor or something. Some German business guy of some kind.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did have the accent.
Oh my God!
There is no time.
There's no time.
Oh my God!
Oh. And then Scott Lesher was that guy in the office. Yep. That scene was pretty painful.
Oh yeah, he was our office manager.
Yeah. Oh, we had everybody we knew who had no right being an actor, and myself included. We just botched that whole thing.
Still should have won.
We got it together.
hey, all these franchises are coming back. Top Gun. Like we all saw that. Most of us saw that. Like
we're all going to be geriatric newspaper delivery people and Crusaders.
Why are you delivering papers? Isn't it online?
Yeah.
We'll be throwing computers at people's houses.
Throwing laptops at people. Yeah, laptops and
or an iPad.
Instead of selling grit, you're selling funeral plots.
God, let's not go down that path.
Says the guy in the hospital.
Yeah. It was amazing how we ended up getting all that together and what we had to do it, and we ended up making it happen. It still surprises me to this day thinking about it.
It's amazing what my sheer force of will can do.
Yeah.
For good or for bad.
That was no small undertaking whatsoever. So
no. And it got us the whole Tyrus saying, "I want an ice cream sandwich, Bryan."
Yeah.
Chipwich.
Gotta have a chipwich.
That 24-hour marathon of trying to get that.
That is one of the single greatest moments in my life, is Tyrus like being completely sleep deprived and losing his mental state and just being like, "Bryan, I want an ice cream sandwich. I want a chipwich. I want a chipwich, Bryan." And then he went down, walked down to the corner, got a chipwich. And then at 8:00, he had to leave because he had to go to the mall and open the record store. And then he calls us at the record store opens at 10. He calls us at 10:15 and he goes, "I shit my pants." That's the ice cream sandwich, man. He was undoing the gate at the mall and running for the bathroom, and he couldn't make it. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That was the best. It was unbelievable.
Who hasn't done that at least once in their life?
I can safely say I've not.
No, really?
No.
Oh my God. You never thought this would be the topic of.
I did it once in college, running.
Yes, we heard your story more than.
Yeah, your story was the induction to every new addition to the group back in the day.
Jackson Pollock decorated bathroom.
Yep, that's right. I won't tell it here because my connection is spotty, but come on. It's a rite of passage. It's a rite of poop. It's a rite of poopage.
Man, if the nurse is listening now,
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
I hope you don't have a roommate.
No, I'm by myself. Thank God. Wait, we got to bring Adam in. So Adam, we're this is all loosey goosey. This is all just So fill us in. People want to hear you. They want to fill us in on what you've been doing, and
it's not very geek centric. I'm sorry to say. It's been November and December, so I've been working 10 hours a day.
That's okay.
Not leaving much time for consuming geek media, which is what we're all about here. I've been. I guess I could add my voice to what Pants has been talking about lately. It was rewatching a classic TV series.
Awesome.
The Decades channel on basic cable is showing what they call smart comms, intelligently written sitcoms of years past, fairly late at night. So every weeknight, that is, you get an hour-long block of Cheers from 11 to 12.
Nice.
Followed by Taxi and WKRP, my two favorites back to back. So I'm just kind of, I've got all of this on DVD, so it's not exactly rediscovering it or anything, but I've been enjoying that every night, after I return home from the Christmas barn late. Awesome. And the Cheers thing, I managed to catch the beginning, from episode 1, and they're showing it all chronologically. So I'm trying to do a complete watch through of that show because there's a lot of episodes of Cheers that I've never seen.
Oh, wow.
So that's the thing I'm doing. But then, wouldn't you know, Kirstie Alley died in the middle of it, and they interrupted their chronological rebroadcast to show the best of Rebecca Howe of Kirstie Alley. And then when they resumed their chronological broadcast of the whole series, they didn't start over where they left off. They just kind of resumed the sequence of the airing of the episodes as if the whole Kirstie Alley retrospective had not happened, and they were just continuing to air just in-sequence episodes. So I missed half a dozen episodes, the end of the first season and the beginning of the second, as a result of that. So I'm going to have to wait until they go through the whole broadcast cycle and start over again if I want to get every episode under my belt.
Wow.
which is not such a problem because I'm sure this can be streamed somewhere, Peacock or someplace.
It might be on Paramount too. Well, it has been on, and quite possibly simultaneously on Prime, Paramount's thing. Apple TV has it.
It's currently on Peacock. I'm looking at it right now.
Well, the Paramount thing makes sense too because it was distributed by Paramount.
Now, the only thing, I think Peacock, you might get commercials depending on your subscription or not subscription.
Hello. I got to go, guys.
All right.
See ya.
See you here. Take care, man.
The Paramount, probably, if you're subscribed to Paramount, it wouldn't have commercials in that.
Well, it depends on which level of subscription you have.
Well,
because if you have the cheap one,
exactly.
you still get commercials.
I went right for the no commercials on Paramount.
Yeah, and I only have the free version of Peacock, which means that I get to watch virtually nothing.
Yeah, and I think Wings is on Paramount also, which I loved Wings too. So I was catching that. There's some crossover. Frasier's on Wings. Cliff and Norm show up on Wings.
I remember that episode actually.
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. They're both set in New England.
Right. But God, Cheers! I love Cheers.
Paramount Plus. It looks like you can get 2 months for $1.99. So you could just like pay $2, watch as many episodes of Cheers as you can in 2 months, and then ditch it.
Catch back up. Yeah,
it's worth it for $2, right? That's not.
I could. Chris entrusted me with his password a while ago, so I could just.
Just jump on that.
Admitted to piracy on camera. Look at that.
I watched Cheers. I watched all of Cheers from start to finish a couple years ago. Yeah, it's so good.
I did when it originally aired, and then I know I did a rewatch in 2020 when the pandemic started. I started with episode 1, and I got through the whole series during the first year of the pandemic. It's such a great series, and the changes they make that normally wouldn't last on other sitcoms, they didn't miss a beat. Ernie, or the coach passing away, Shelley Long leaving, and Kirstie Alley coming in, Woody coming in. It didn't miss a beat. Everything just kept going headstrong and funny.
There's a lot, like, the show is actually smarter than I remembered it. I mean, when it came out, I was still in grade school and stuff, so like I didn't get half the jokes or whatever. I just thought Norm was funny, right? Like that, Norm and Cliff. Like that's all I watched it for when I was a kid. But as an adult, as an adult, you realize like there's a lot of really, really smart comedy happening there. If you can get past the, overt sexism that's just like rife in that
Rampant.
show. It's just rampant. Like, oh God, like
it's pretty pervasive, especially in the early seasons.
Yeah, it hurts a little by modern sensibilities, but
it does.
Underneath that, there's some very funny, very smart humor going on, and I think the show is still worth watching, right?
Yeah.
If for nothing else but Carla, I mean, she is just a gem.
Gosh, that's a riot. And there's such a plethora of guest stars. I mean, Kevin Conroy guest starred on an episode as one of Sam's old baseball buddies. Kate Mulgrew was on for a few episodes as Sam's love interest, and just oh my gosh, the woman who played Phoebe on Friends, she was on for an episode with Woody.
She acted opposite Woody.
It's just amazing to watch all the guest stars and where some of them went to.
There's a lot of things when you rewatch these old shows, because same thing with Friends, same thing with Frasier. All the people that started on, their bit parts that they got when they're early on in their careers.
Now I liked Frasier on Cheers, but I really was not going to watch Frasier when the show came out until I found out that there was going to be a woman starring on it who was the daughter of Jim O'Brien from Channel 6 Action News.
Roz,
and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And I loved it. But I loved her character almost more than anybody else. And David Hyde Pierce, Niles was also great. So those are the two characters that I really latched onto for Frasier, to watch all of that. Well, and the dad.
I heard they're doing like a reunion or something like that, but they said now David Hyde Pierce won't come back. He doesn't want to.
That's a shame.
So, but during the pandemic, I watched all of 10 seasons of Friends, all 9 seasons of Frasier. and then I started watching Seinfeld over from the beginning. But I haven't watched Cheers. I haven't watched Cheers, I think, since it aired. So that might be something I'll have to pick up sometime.
And something, and maybe it's just because we grew up in this age, but I really don't notice the lack of computers and cell phones that don't happen in the show because they weren't around then, like they are today. I mean, there was computers on Cheers sometimes in the offices and whatnot when they were ordering things, but like compared to like newer sitcoms that have cell phones here or there doing different things, you don't even miss it on older sitcoms. And I don't know if it's just because I lived in it or if I'd like to think it's just how smart they wrote it and how good it was. It didn't need that accessories that you see in today's shows just because they're more commonplace today. But yeah, it's just amazing to me, some of the things that we now take for granted that weren't available back then and still all made very much sense. And they still got through the adventures.
I mean, most of the plots don't need,
right.
There are a few times when like somebody's car broke down and they're missing and they don't know where they are, and it's like, well, that doesn't happen anymore, right? You know, so
yeah,
but most of the time it's like they're just sitting in a bar talking, so it doesn't really matter. It's not applicable to the plot, right?
Yeah. But even compared to like if you take Cheers versus X-Files, where X-Files, they used a lot more cell phone conversations back and forth to communicate, and time has gone on and you just see more and more of the modern technology and things. I just watch some of these old ones and don't even miss it. And after the fact, think about, oh boy, today they probably have cell phones doing this, that, or the other thing. And they really don't probably need it because you didn't miss it in the 80s. So why make an effort to it now?
I think the shows where that you notice it is, like you said, like when early cell phones were out, because they're so glaringly old. But like a phone on the wall in Cheers somehow doesn't feel old to me. That just feels normal. But like an old clunky 90s cell phone seems ridiculous. And and people didn't have signal all over the place. I mean, now it's like you got to be literally in the middle of nowhere to not have signal. If you're anywhere else, you got full bars. Like, and but those phones, and they also didn't have the internet, and so then they're like, they can't look stuff up. They can just call somebody, and it's like. So that's when it feels weird. But old stuff doesn't feel weird. I don't know.
It doesn't.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't for me either.
No, you have in Lethal Weapon 1, Danny Glover on top of a bridge with a bag phone trying to contact somebody because it's the only way to communicate at the top of a bridge to get a good signal.
Yeah.
WKRP, though, that's one I have not watched in a long time. And I don't even know if that's streaming anywhere that I would notice to see it.
Oh, almost has to be.
I would hope.
Yeah. But again, I have it at the Shout Factory put out a complete series DVD box set a few years ago, and they got back the rights to like 80% of the original music.
Oh, good.
Yes, and I think they're actually more of the original music than can be seen in the current broadcasts on the Decades channel, I believe. But Pants is holding out. He refuses to watch the show at all unless he can see all the music.
That does drive me nuts because there's times when I just know it doesn't sound right. No matter what it is, if somebody loses the rights to the music and it's playing, I'm like, that just isn't right.
Yep, Dr. Fever will be in the DJ booth and there'll be some kind of generic sound-alike instrumental.
Yeah.
That's not period accurate.
Yeah. At one point, a lot of the John Hughes movies lost the 80s music rights, and then they got it back. But for those few months or years that they played on TV, it just I couldn't watch it. It was just horrific. It just sounded so bad.
Oh my God! I can't imagine a John Hughes movie. Movie. I mean, there's so many popular songs that were synonymous with every movie he's done.
Yep, it was really weird. Thank God that didn't last.
Did anybody watch Black Adam?
I did.
I did. I went to the theaters to see it with the boys.
I was looking forward to it. I was like psyched. That was one of the movies I was actually psyched for the past year or so. And I was like, man, I hope this is good. Like I said, I always like JSA better than JLA. So I was like, Black Adam, I always had an interest in because of the whole Egyptian history and stuff. I always thought he was an intriguing character. And I was like, I hope it's good. I hope it's good. And It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
A little short of the bar.
Yeah,
Just a tad.
We watched it on HBO because it was, it came on, and it was like, what am I even doing with my time? Like, it was just so perfectly average. Like, there was nothing special about it, right?
Nope.
And yeah, it was like yet another wasted opportunity. And like I know obviously that the movie universes are different than the comics and they change stuff and everything, and I'm totally fine with that. But like the JSA bit seemed weird and forced and not like, I don't know, like, and it's like Hawkman, they didn't even like, there was no implication that he was from another planet, right? It was like, here's just this dude who has a suit. It was but he's an alien from another planet. Like, what?
Or he's a guy who's been reincarnated since the days of ancient Egypt, depending on which Hawkman they're talking about. There's none of that. Neither the alien angle nor the reincarnation angle. He was just, like you said, Brian, a guy in a suit.
I thought they made one comment about that could have been construed as reincarnation, but it was not blatant or clear at all. It was very, you had to really think about it to make it make sense.
Dr. Fate was like the standout. I actually looked forward to his scenes in the movie, and he always consistent, and I was intrigued when he was on screen. So to me, that was kind of like a highlight of the film. Like that character worked. Everything they did with that character worked.
I'll agree with that.
So, and I think that, I loved Constantine, the TV series. I loved that. And, so I thought, that's what I was hoping, like, with Dr. Fate. And it seems like obviously a lot of other people really enjoyed him in the character in the movie as well. But I thought maybe this will get some more of that going, and travel along those lines for the DC cinematic universe, and, I hope maybe, guy come back for, who's that? Is it Matt Ryan? The guy that did Constantine?
Oh gosh, I don't remember his name. He was in DC's Legends then too.
Yeah, because then he did the anime. He did the
animated one.
Animated movies. He did the voiceover. Anyway, I liked him, and he does the character very well. And I was hoping maybe that would give a resurgence along those lines, and they could travel along those lines, and maybe work with those characters and investigate that. But
also, and I've said it before, I didn't like that they gave the impression, and I could be thinking wrong about it, but just in my mind, I didn't like that it seemed like Waller could order them around. To me, she does not have that power over these groups. They might work together at some point, but that just rubbed me the wrong way.
I didn't see it as her issuing orders so much as her brokering information, saying, hey, Justice Society, you're interested in the pursuit of justice internationally. Here's this thing happening overseas in Kahndaq you might want to go over and check out.
And maybe that's the part I have to watch again just to see what I think about it now that it's been some time. I put it on the other day and tried to watch it, and I was doing some other stuff around the house, and like a half hour had passed, and I had not even heard a line in the movie. I was so involved in what I was doing. I'm like, nope, I turned it off. I'll give it another try later sometime.
Yeah.
Sometime when you're really bored.
Like really bored.
When I've watched everything else that's current that I really, really, really care about.
When you've finished Netflix, then you can.
Yeah.
I agree though. I was very disappointed. It was very mediocre compared to what I was hoping for.
Thunderously mediocre.
That's just the best way to describe it, was average mediocre. It wasn't horrible, but
No, it wasn't horrible. But even since that came out, now with this whole change in the DC movieverse, all of that's wiped away anyway, and most of everything we saw isn't going to even matter anyway.
Yep, we'll never see Henry Cavill Superman up against The Rock's Black Adam.
Man, everybody was excited about that in the theater I was in. Man, they were cheering like crazy.
Yeah,
that was that was super bittersweet, right? Because I saw it after the announcement.
Oh man!
And then we see the thing at the end, and you're like, "That's so cool!" And it's never gonna happen.
Yep,
Womp,
never
womp.
gonna happen. Yep, that was disappointing.
Yeah, big time. I was stoked to hear that because I was like, finally, can we give Henry Cavill an opportunity to shine as Superman, and let's do a great Superman movie? You know, let's do it. You know,
and he even had in that little scene, he even had the spit curl, lighter colored like it all looked fantastic. Yep,
blown opportunity. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's hard to say with the wiping out. I've been reading different articles about this, and I've heard like James Gunn has not directly but indirectly basically stating like he's open to John Cena still being involved, and it's kind of like the projects he worked on, he's open to or wanting to have them participate, but everything else it's we're going to retool everything else. And I've seen a lot of flack about that online, you know, because people are like, well, if you're going to recast a lot of this stuff, then do it all.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Not cherry pick and do so, especially when it looks so biased that you're like, oh, my project, so I'm going to leave, you know, and then we'll redo everything else, you know. Because I'm curious to see what they do with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves' Batman. I mean, that was great. And
I enjoyed that more than I thought I would.
They'd be a fool to screw around with that. But I don't know. I honestly, in my opinion, I don't think James Gunn's the guy for the job. I don't think he was the guy to pick. I don't know that. I just don't see from his background and everything that I know of the guy and what I've watched of his works and such, that for him to oversee a whole entire universe like that, I just don't get that feel that, you know, hopefully he proves me wrong, but you know,
right.
He has the capability of capturing the essence of the characters, of all these other characters. Like he can handle, you know, like I shouldn't say handle. He's done Suicide Squad. He's done Peacemaker. He's done Guardian. You know, it's kind of all the same shtick. You know, it's like very similar, very rudimentary, very, you know,
formulaic in that way.
And that's what kind of turns me off of that stuff anymore, because I felt like I've seen it, you know. So I don't want, you know, I saw they just announced Blue Beetle. That's going to be a movie, you know, that's something that they are definitely doing. And, you know, I just don't want the same stuff, you know. I don't want, and I don't know, because I heard he's now writing the new Superman movie, the one that he's now going to recast, and it's supposed to be a younger Superman, but not Superboy, you know. So, but he's actually not, he's also writing that movie. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Maybe Superman will remember how to smile now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
that would hurt.
The big question is like, do we need another Superman movie right now? Like, I feel like DC is so stuck. They're like, okay, everything's failing. Let's make a Batman movie. Oh, everything's failing. Let's make another Superman movie. It's like, no. What, you make some other movie, and then Superman swoops in and helps out and then is like the star, and we're surprised and it's cool, as opposed to like just making us watch a whole movie about Superman and some, you know, real estate scam, you know, like, oh my God, like how many more do we need? Right. Like, I don't know. It's just, and that's where I think they need some vision, right? Like, DC's got thousands of characters. Pick one. You could make any character awesome with the right script and the right actor, right? Like, do it. Why do you keep hitting this, going the same well over and over? People are bored of even Joe Schmo, who's not even a comic fan, is like, I've seen Superman 100 times. So, you know, like,
and I certainly don't need any kind of, and they didn't really do it with the latest Batman, thank God. I really don't need another origin of Batman or Superman.
Yeah. I don't need an origin
soon.
of anybody. I mean, I feel like at this point, origins can come in like movie number 3. Like, you can just be a hero and we'll believe it. Like, we don't
reference it or something. You know what I mean? Has it? You know, you don't have to you don't have to actually dwell a whole story on it.
I agree.
A 20-minute scene, you know, boring.
And I know they say they have this 10-year plan, but I'm 50. 10 years is 60. Let's get a move on. I mean, I've been waiting a long time for a really good DC movie run here.
And the thing that's crazy, right, is James Gunn is the one who proved to the world that the zaniest, most ridiculous cast of characters, Guardians of the Galaxy, can be completely believable and a great hit and an incredibly entertaining movie, right?
Right.
So why is he going to Superman? Like, pick something else. Again, pick 5 random characters from DC and put them in a movie together and make it work. Like, you could do it. Like, I don't know.
And Kevin, I agree. I'm afraid of the same kind of antics that we see in Guardians and Suicide Squad being in whatever he does. And that's what I'm hoping he proves wrong on.
Right. I'm not anticipating that he's going to approach every project the same. I don't want to make that blanketed statement. I'm just saying that everything that I've seen that he's done comic book wise and in the past, how many years, it's very rudimentary. And so I would hope, and that's why I feel that might be some limitation there on his behalf. But I've said it many a time. Even before the new couple DC movies and stuff, I said the same thing that Bryan said. I was like, you have so many characters. I mean, I long to see a great Green Lantern movie, and I also would love to see a great Flash movie. But I know, now I guess they're bringing out that Ezra Miller. They're still going to release that, I guess, next year.
So far.
But, I don't know what, it's kind of one of those things. I wonder, like, they're, I guess, going to do that, but I wonder, is it going to have any bearing on what they're going to do coming up? You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to release it and it'll have nothing to do with what their plans are for the next 10 years. I mean, I know that he's reached out and I guess has been talking with the directors from Batgirl, the movie that they shelved. Not that they're going to release Batgirl, but that he's talking to them about doing a Batman Beyond movie. Which I would love to see that.
Sure.
I love that animated series. So if you're going to do a different movie, because there you go, you don't have to do a Batman movie, do Batman Beyond. That's unique and different enough. And still kind of goes in that genre. Do Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, and have a young, Batman Beyond, a protege. I think that would be good. I don't know. I agree. I think there's a lot of potential out there, but I, in my opinion, I love Superman. So it would be like I would love to just watch a good Superman movie, and I haven't felt like I got that yet. So I was hoping for that. After Man of Steel, I was like, obviously there were some trepidations and people were a little upset about some things and wasn't quite, on point. Let's take that information and let's make a really great Superman movie. Give him a chance to shine. I'm not saying you have to do another trilogy, but at least give him one good movie. That's why I was really excited for the Henry Cavill thing. Like, let him come back. Let's do a great movie. I heard the script was supposed to be Brainiac and supposed to be this great, really good story from what I understand, but I could do that. And then I'd be satisfied, and then, I guess they're going ahead with the Green Lantern thing. That was the HBO Max show. And now
I haven't heard of it being canceled yet.
Yeah. It was supposed to be focused on like Guy Gardner and it wasn't Hal though. I think Hal was going to be
I thought it was John Stewart too.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more, I think what they're doing now, I guess they're planning to do now is just be John Stewart, and maybe have other, ancillary core members.
Well, John Stewart became so popular during the Justice League cartoons. I don't think that hurt at all.
They just released that animated movie it was 2 months ago or so, which I watched and it was great.
Well, I didn't get to watch that yet.
Yeah, it's on. I watched it on HBO Max on the DC Hub, and I really liked it. They did a really good job with it, and I was like, wow, if they would do that as a movie, that would have been great.
Sure.
So I agree. I agree with you, Bryan. I think if you approach any character soundly, you can. Stan Lee had said it. Every character is a great character. You just gotta approach it, respect it, and put that intention for it. So you could make any character out of what 4,000 or 5,000 characters and make them any one of them.
Yeah, and like you said,
enjoy
it's not that I don't want to see Superman or Batman. I just think that making them the star of the show right off the bat is maybe not what we need to see right now, right? Get some new and interesting characters, get people to fall in love with characters they've never met before, and then sort of reverse into the big guns, right?
Yeah.
Like, and again, like you don't need everybody, even very marginal superhero fans know who Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman are, right? So the whole team could show up in some movie and swoop down onto a scene, and the audience isn't going to be confused. They're going to be like, oh man, the Justice League's here, right? Like that would, and then you could tell bigger stories with them later once you've introduced your new actors, into the world. But in the meantime, we were focused on all these other people, and it could be the third movie or something that they suddenly appear, to save the day or help out or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. I guess I've just read too many damn comics where there's cameos, right? And the cameos were like more fun sometimes than the individual books that those people were in, because it was like you weren't expecting to see them, and all of a sudden there's Daredevil and Spider-Man. You're like, this is awesome. It's like, yeah, I know I could read Daredevil every month, but like this is more exciting because he's not supposed to be here, right? And it's the same thing with the whole Justice League can come into some Blue Beetle movie or whatever, and it's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd actually be open to the fact that it doesn't have to be a whole continuity-based universe. I think sometimes they've struggled with that so far anyway. And I'm like, well, if you want to tell a Blue Beetle movie, tell a Blue Beetle story. It doesn't have to tie into Justice League, doesn't have to tie into Young Justice or, Titans or anything like that. It can just be its own thing.
Yeah.
I think you almost are fighting against yourself if you think you got to make every movie tie together and got to have all these team ups and all that stuff. I just, I don't know. That's been done. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and it happens so much more what we perceive as so much more naturally when Marvel did it, that it's hard to replicate that. And I think that's what Warner Brothers in general has been trying to do, is force it a little bit.
Sure.
I give them credit for trying the Superman Batman movie, because it was a different way than what Marvel had done their movies to that point, and it brought in Wonder Woman even. It just didn't work as well as what I think it could have. But I applaud the effort to try and do something a little bit different, even though it wasn't far outside the box. At least it was a little bit different. But I agree that I think they could try anything with 1,000 different characters that DC and Warner Brothers has, and you could fall in love with them if they did it right.
Right.
Murd, who would you pick? Which character would you love to see a DC movie on?
Well, for whatever reason, I can see myself giving many different answers to this question depending on when it was asked, but I was just thinking to myself, Rose and the Thorn, just to use a lesser-known character/characters. It's about a young woman named Rose Forrest who has a dissociative identity alter ego, who's a vigilante. It might seem a bit like white noise now that Moon Knight has happened over at Disney Plus, but it's something. Another character that came to mind was Metamorpho.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That'd be good.
Always a fun visual.
Yeah. And they touched on the companies that surrounded Metamorpho and various different other DC properties, but never anything with Metamorpho.
Talking of a character that, Bryan has mentioned this character before, is just somebody he likes to see show up randomly and doesn't need to know the background of the character. It's just fun to see from time to time. The Question.
Oh yeah.
Perhaps they could do a project with the Question. Maybe never even tell us who's behind that faceless mask.
Yeah.
Sure.
Whether it's Vic Sage or Renee Montoya or whoever.
Well, that's a great opportunity for a TV show, right? An HBO show.
Yeah, I think
where there's
so.
8 episodes a season or whatever, and there are little mysteries, and that guy's involved, that character is involved. And then, we don't even know about it for maybe 2 seasons, or who it is, or why they're doing what they're doing, or whatever. It's just full of mystery and cool stories, right?
I think that would be so befitting of a series, and HBO. You know, if they continue to release things on HBO Max, I think that character is befitting for that type of format. I think that would be fantastic.
And that's the kind of show where, like, if they really wanted to tie it together to the bigger picture, it's like Batman could easily make an appearance in Question detective stuff, right? Like it wouldn't even have to be in the suit. It could be like a silhouette sitting at the Bat computer having a conversation with the, or whatever, right? It's just like enough to connect it and let people know it's part of something bigger, right? Like,
the Blue Beetle could show up too. It's the whole Charlton Comics connection.
Yeah. I loved when they used the Question in the 52 series, and I can hear them on the radio dramas, and just the things that they used them for in Justice League Unlimited. They used the Question very well, and I could easily see a TV show like that with all his crazy what the heck conspiracy theories that were abound in the animated series. You could easily incorporate that into the TV show, and it'd be really interesting.
I would like to see the Shade. I think another opportunity for a series rather than a movie. I think we could do something, be like a period piece kind of thing. Different, unique, very interesting character, visually striking. You could do a lot with that character.
Would you use the same actor they used in Stargirl?
Oh, I would think I would like to. I liked him in that.
I'd vote for that too.
Yeah.
What about like 1940s, oh my God, I just was going to say it, and I don't even know now.
Like Sandman Mystery Theater?
Yes, like Sandman Mystery Theater. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. That's another awesome potential TV series, right? Like,
yeah.
I like the Ray. I mean, I always like that. I like the Ray series. Ray Terrell.
Yeah, they did an animated series about the Ray. It was on the
CW.
Yeah, which that was pretty decent. I always liked that. I like the miniseries Casada did the artwork on, and then they did it was a series. I think it lasted 2 or 3 years. And I always liked
maybe.
I'd like to see something with that. Again, a younger character, so you could appeal to, doing different, age characters. So not everybody's all a teenager or a young adult.
Yeah. I'd like to think Adam would agree with me on this. I think the Our Man series that we like, the 2.5 year thing, could make an interesting TV show too, and tie in some JSA characters, different characters through time. Be a little bit science fiction-y in there as well.
So we are talking about the 853rd century Diamond Generation intelligent machine colony, Our Man, as opposed to the guy who pops pills.
You got it. I want the intelligent colony. Strolling about time, helping stuff.
Who doesn't?
They could have brought him in on Legends of... I don't remember the name
DC
of the
Universe, Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah,
Legends of Tomorrow. That's the one.
That's it.
The Arrowverse show.
Yeah. Well, even
it could have been the Data of their crew of characters.
Right. Even at the end of the series, and it's now canceled. And spoilers for anybody who didn't watch it, but the way they ended that show with bringing in a certain character that I love, and the possibility of what was to come, maybe down the road, would have been fantastic, but that's all kiboshed now. So I'll never see Booster and Beetle the way I thought maybe I would.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, stranger things have happened, but still.
I mean, if Beetle does well, if they do the movie and it does well, I mean, that would be something that they would always, be very open, I'm sure, aware of working towards.
Yeah.
Now, am I right in thinking that the Blue Beetle movie is going to be with Jaime Reyes, though, as the main character?
Yeah, it will.
It is. But I think Ted's a mentor in it in some capacity.
That's what I was picturing. And so if Ted's there, Booster might show up at some future time.
Yeah.
That's how I picked it. I pictured it just like Ant-Man in Marvel Universe. You have Hank Pym as a mentor, and they did Scott Lang as the Ant-Man character rather than Pym. So that's how I envision they would approach, Blue Beetle possibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm all for it. I want him to succeed. I have no I want them to take this opportunity and capitalize on something that they've struggled with for so long.
Yeah. Well, and I'll no matter what, I'll give it a chance. I'll go to the movies to see it. My boys kind of hope, they plan on going to see this kind of stuff. We enjoy it, the three of us together, to go see it. So even if it's in the end terrible, I'll still go see it to try it, partially because me and the boys like doing it. That's just something we've always done, and partially in the hopes that it's really good and sustains itself then for the long term.
I'll always give them a shot. I mean, I'm watching Doom Patrol on HBO, and I never thought I'd be interested in something like that. And I thought, I'll watch it. And I watched 3 seasons of it now, and I enjoy it. And again,
I have to get caught up on that. I haven't watched but the first
season yet. Yeah, I have the last season to watch on that and Titans. But
yeah, I started Doom Patrol season 1 like 2 years ago, and I still haven't gotten all the way through it.
Wow.
It's zany, but in a much different way than what James Gunn did on Suicide Squad or with Guardians. Just
right.
a different kind of zany that
it has its own sense of humor. Right?
Yeah, and it's really well done.
I mean, Doom Patrol is quirky. I mean, there's no two ways. So I mean, I think they handled it very as well as they could. The way the property's been handled print wise. So
yep.
I thought they did a decent job with it. Obviously, it must be doing well to make 4 seasons of it. So could we have said 5 years ago that we would see 4 seasons of Doom Patrol?
Right.
So proof positive, if you just handle the material properly, it'll work. Has anybody watched Titans?
I have watched all but this most recent season that came up, that just started. I haven't delved into that yet, but I have watched all of it up to that point.
Yeah, I've watched, I think, 2. I probably have watched at least 2 episodes of this 4th season now, which they're, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but there's potential with this storyline. I don't think it's too secretive, but anyway, they got 2 main plot threads that they're starting out with, and I'm intrigued to see what they do with it. But they've handled it well enough over the past couple of seasons.
I think the writing's,
it wasn't Young Justice, but
no, and I think the writing's somewhat mediocre on it, but I still watch it when I feel like watching it. It's not something I race to watch the next newest episode, but if I think of it, I'll put it on to watch an episode.
What about Stargirl? Have you watched all of that?
I have this last season to watch yet. I watched the first 2. I got so behind on this season when it started. Apple TV came out with it for like $8, $7, whatever it was. And I used a gift card and bought the 3rd season so I could just watch it whenever I feel like it.
I've only watched the first one, so I haven't seen the second season.
I really like the second one.
Okay.
And like Adam said, they brought in the shade, and he was fantastic.
All right.
Probably one of the high points of the second season for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've only watched season 1 of that. Go ahead, Mert.
I was just going to say, we're only halfway through season 3. Yeah. I think for my money, the first season was the best.
Yeah.
For one thing, they had the largest budget there, and they weren't filming against COVID conditions as they were in season 2.
Yeah.
There was one point where they had to throw in a line saying, "Oh no, Eclipso has made everything seem like autumn out there. It's not summer like it clearly is here. It's not that we're filming this show in winter time.
Yeah.
No, it's
true.
It's Eclipso. Yeah." And season 3, the whole season of season 3 is like one long whodunit murder mystery, and it's like I said, I'm halfway through it. It's kind of dragging a bit for me.
Okay.
And I'm kind of sorry to learn, as Shane informed me a little while ago, that season 3 is going to be the last one.
And I have watched the first season and a half of Superman and Lois, and that, at least what I've seen of it so far, has a pretty high budget, and I think is really well written. It drags a little bit sometimes. I think there's some filler episodes here and there, like everything suffers. Like Brian Deemer says, I'd rather see a 8 to 10 episode season than some of these longer ones, just for the sake of having a longer one. And sometimes I think this suffers from that, but it's worth watching. It's fairly well done.
Yeah, I need to go back and finish the first season because I was watching that and enjoying it, and then they hit one of those mid-season hiatuses that they do at CW, and I never got back on board after that.
Yeah, it took me a while to get back on that too. When they did that hiatus, I thought it was done for the season, and it was just a really long hiatus.
I don't think I've watched an episode of it yet. I don't feel compelled to. It's like I don't.
I can
Same here.
I don't know.
I can understand that.
It just doesn't appeal to me too much, But that's my.
I finished off the first season when it came on HBO Max, and watched it that way.
Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm more intrigued now to watch the second season of Stargirl, if anything.
Yeah, that really was. I really liked that a lot.
So.
And again, the shade parts, that was the high mark for me the whole season.
That has me stoked. So,
and I want to say the first 2 episodes he came on in, James Robinson wrote for that series.
Nice.
Cool.
Well done.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
You know what show I have started watching? It's completely ridiculous, but also fun. Is Tulsa King, that new Sylvester Stallone show on Paramount?
Oh, I was wondering about that. I didn't know anybody that watched that yet.
That looked ridiculous.
I haven't sat down to watch it.
It just like kind of feels good. Like, it's crazy, he's in the mob and he gets sent out to Tulsa because they don't want to deal with his old ass anymore. And he now has to like invent, crime in Tulsa so that he can be in charge of it. Right. Like it's kind of silly, but it's Stallone kind of doing what he's good at. And it's kind of well done. Like it's not going to win any awards. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to give you the heavy sell, but it's just like a fun, I've been watching it while I was doing crafting and stuff, so like, okay. I'm not sitting there dedicating my life to an hour to Tulsa King. I'm just like casually watching it in the background while I do other things, but it's been pretty fun.
Is it comedic?
I mean, there's moments, but then it's also, violent and mean and, there's drama in it, like heartfelt stuff in it too. Like it's not a one-stop shop, right?
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought that was curious when I saw that he was doing that. I'm like, oh, that's not something I'd expect him to do anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to think if there's something else. I mean, we talked about watching the Top Gun thing, and I did watch that yesterday again. So I've seen that twice all the way through, the Top Gun Maverick. I don't know, Adam, did you see that?
I haven't even seen the original Top Gun.
Oh, okay.
What? Come on, Merd.
I'm telling you the truth. I just added to the long list of classic 80s films that I just missed completely.
Okay.
I was too busy being a child in the 80s, I guess.
When you said Tulsa King, I thought you were going to say Samaritan was his Sylvester Stallone's superhero movie that he released.
Oh, yeah. I
never saw
gosh.
That.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I didn't watch that. I forgot about that.
I watched it. And it's what you would think it would be.
Okay.
It's kind of one of those that had potential, like there's elements of it and elements of the story that are like, that there's, this could be something.
Yeah.
And then there's some corny ass shit that undermines it, right? So it had potential, but I didn't regret watching it. But it's certainly the high potential didn't outweigh the corny, kind of mediocre, So his franchise ain't going to take off either.
Maybe that's how he got into do Tulsa King then.
Yeah.
I also watched the first episode of it's another Paramount show called Mayor of Kingstown, starring Jeremy Renner, which I hadn't even heard of until it came across some news article I was reading the other day. And I watched the first episode and it was really good. Like, so the idea is, I think it's in Michigan, some town, Kingstown, I guess. I don't know if it's real or made up, but the idea is there's like 14 prisons or something in the town area, right? It's like one of the largest prison areas. And so like the whole city is like basically everybody just works for the prison industrial complex in one way or another, right? It's like so many people because there's like 10,000 inmates and 20,000 people working to support those 10,000 inmates, right? So naturally, you know, with prisons come crime and corruption and gangs on the outside, gangs on the inside fighting each other, bad, corrupt, you know, guards and politicians and the whole thing, right? Like all the whole. And so the idea is this character called the mayor of Kingstown. He's not the actual mayor, but he like brokers deals between all of these different parties. And he's 100% trustworthy because he has to be. And so otherwise, like the whole city would just be in chaos with it fighting, but he makes the peace. And so everybody respects him because he's the only fair, neutral party that never breaks a deal. And then shit happens. And now this is the story. Right? So it's a super unique, like I've never heard of anything like this before in my entertainment seeking. And, you know, Jeremy Renner is pretty cool. Yeah. So it's, I enjoyed the first episode, and season 2, I think just came out or is about to come out or something. So it got high praises. So that's why I decided to check it out.
And it's on Paramount?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I remember seeing a trailer for it months and months ago, but I never bothered to look up where it was actually on. Okay.
Has nothing to do with superheroes other than he also plays a superhero, you know. That's it.
That's okay too, though, sometimes.
Yeah, right. It doesn't all have to be superheroes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had mentioned earlier that I got a gift card for Christmas, and it was Amazon gift card. And I ended up picking up, this is something I wanted to read, but I was not going to pick up the miniseries. I was waiting for it to be collected. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin. It just looks really interesting to me.
Cool. Yeah.
And Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird wrote it. So kind of really intrigued to see them come back to the well and do something different. With the turtles, so we'll see how it is. The artwork looks great. I want to say it was 5 or 6 issues long. They were prestige format, kind of thicker issues as well. So yeah, it just came today, so I'm excited to see what that holds. It's gotten high praise.
Who did the art, Shane?
Let's see. It's good. Pencils, inks by Istu Escorza, Ben Bishop, Isaac Escorza, Kevin Eastman, layouts by Kevin Eastman. Yeah, so 4 different people did some pencils along the way. Looks great. All I know of it is there's one of the turtles left, but you don't know necessarily which one, at least in the beginning, and it's his adventures and things that ensue. So I'm just really curious to read what it has. You can see the way the art is on the cover. He has some of every turtle's weapons, so he's used or is using everything. I don't know if there's other turtles that have survived, or if he's really the last one, or if he's seeking the others. I've just seen a lot of posts on social media that really people that are big into turtles like it, and I'm kind of into turtles on the fringe. But the artwork looks good, and it just seemed to be an interesting story to me. And again, the fact that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird wrote it have something major to do with it kind of intrigued me more than normally would.
That sounds cool. I think I'd like that.
You'll have to let us know.
Yeah. I did read all 6 of the issues so far of Dark Crisis from DC, and that's fairly enjoyable. I want to read some of the ancillary tie-ins that I can through the app. I thought the 7th issue was on the app already, and I got to the end of the 6th issue. I'm like, where's the next one? But it must have just come out, so I have to wait a little bit for it to come out so I can finish it. But it's pretty interesting. It's much more grander and a little bit better put together than some of their more recent crossovers, in my mind, anyway. So I've enjoyed it a little bit more. Seems more like a Crisis story should be, not on the level of Crisis on Infinite Earths or Infinite Crisis, but it still reads and it seems to be written a little bit better than more recent ones.
Are you reading anything good, Adam?
Not recently. The last couple of comics I read were on Christmas Eve. Just kind of hanging out, waiting for the caroling to start at midnight. So I grabbed a couple of Christmas-related things to read, and one of them was Adventures of Superman number 487 from 1992, which I just gotten at Golden Eagle out of the 75-cent bins.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's really more a Bibbo story than a Superman story. So that's dating it right there. Yeah, it came out just months before Superman died, basically.
Okay.
And the other one was something that Carl Kiesel has been doing. It was he kickstarted it, and ever since he's done several of these things with his original character Impossible Jones. I've forgotten the name of the artist he's collaborating with on that, but it's basically Thunderbolts meets Catwoman. It's about a professional thief who accidentally gets superpowers while breaking into a laboratory someplace. The public and the police mistake her for a new superhero, and she just kind of goes along with it, continuing to pull jobs on the side, but slowly becoming more comfortable with the appreciation that superheroes get, and kind of sinking into that role more and more. So that's a fun story, and the one that I read was the second Kickstarter, which teams her up with a character called Holly Days, who is basically a holiday-themed Harley Quinn.
Nice.
Yeah, so it is Christmassy in that respect. She's the abused ex-girlfriend of a supervillain called Krampus. Yeah, so she broke off the relationship with him, but kept the Christmas gimmicks because she loves Christmas. And so she and Impossible Jones become drinking buddies, and Impossible kind of helps her get out from under the shadow of this abusive bastard from her past.
Nice.
So that's what I've read lately, just as those two things. But I did get for Christmas, just to kind of to parallel Shane's Turtles Last Ronin, I got something I've been wanting for a while. The hardcover graphic novel based on the Yellow Submarine animated movie from 1968. As drawn and adapted by Bill Morrison, who was one of the honchos at Bongo and has drawn a lot of Simpsons comics.
Okay.
So he gets to adapt that late 60s psychedelia into something like a graphic novel, and every page is supposed to be well, Morrison said his aim when he was drawing this was to make every page or every double page spread function on its own like a black light poster.
Nice.
So yeah, it's still in shrink wrap. I haven't opened it yet, but I look forward to it.
This was my gift to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
My first omnibus. I never bought an omnibus in my life. But for this one, I was like, I'm going to do it.
Worth it.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's, maybe an inch and a half.
That's not bad.
No.
Some of the larger ones drive me nuts.
Exactly. That's why I never bought them.
Yeah.
I don't want a 3-inch hardcover book. It's very nice, though. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm glad that, they have all the warrior stories as well as, the Miracle Man issues, and nice thing put all together in one collection.
That's cool.
And I am reading the Silver Age that they're releasing right now.
Okay.
Finally.
Which the third issue just came out today, actually. And I did not know. I mean, I know that the intention was for Gaiman and Buckingham to continue because they never finished a story,
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that they were doing that, but I did not know until a couple of months ago that Mark Buckingham actually redrew the issues that they released back in when they released the original series in the early 80s. So the couple issues before, the 4 issues beforehand, before it got canceled, he actually went back to the script and redrew all 4 of those issues.
Wow.
They've been releasing articles, and I read a nice interview with him and about how, the process of how now he takes those scripts and how he approaches them now, like 40 years later almost, and they do show side-by-side comparisons to pages from, the original books and from what he's doing now. And very interesting. For me, it's very interesting that way. I enjoyed them then. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this, and when we finally get to that issue when they can continue their story and see what they do with it. So I'm excited about that. I'm enjoying it so far.
It's interesting too that he went back and redid it based on his current interpretation and how he approaches things nowadays.
Well, I think I didn't again, I wasn't aware of that, and I didn't know they were going to do that. But I think it's a great approach, because if you're going to continue that storyline now and how he is as an artist now, decades later, his approach and how he handles scripts and storytelling and his art, I think that was a great investment on Marvel's part, allowing that to happen. So that way, it seems that this storyline will now be congruent. It'll seem seamless. So I'm in. It for me, as somebody who obviously I had them and read them and I enjoyed them and I love them. But I wasn't gonna, I was like, well, I don't need to buy those. I already have them. You know what I mean? So, So I was like, I'll wait until they start the story where they, were abruptly, ended. And, but once I heard that, I was like, I got to see the other one now. I want to see how he does it. So it actually worked in their favor, because I picked up those last 3 issues. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So, and it's the 40th anniversary of Miracle Man. So
unbelievable.
Years ago from Eclipse Comics. Yeah. So I think that's a great thing for the, the timing couldn't be, couldn't be any better, be able to continue, the storyline that's been sitting dormant for 40 years. So
sure.
Bring it out to the 40th anniversary. So I'm stoked. I'm so hoping it goes well. I hope they keep it going. I hope what they do is, people receive it and enjoy it, and that they can do more with it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Bryan, have you been painting anything lately? Still painting your miniatures?
I haven't really painted anything for a while now. I've been doing other stuff. I saw
some of your leather work that you posted pictures. Really nice.
Yeah, thanks. I did 3 different, Christmas gifts this year, and it was fun. So I was down in my workshop a lot. Yeah. This is when I watch all this TV, is when I'm doing that stuff, and it's hours and hours of work. So it's a lot of TV. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I have so much more on my list for, 2023. It's being a medieval reenactor person, you get to have excuses to learn all kinds of crafts, all kinds. I did wood carving for the first time over the summer, and I did some Viking carvings for a shelter that I built that I used to cook under at a big camping event, and I've made 5 pairs of shoes, and I've done tons of sewing, and I built looms so that I could then weave the trim for my Viking outfits. And it just snowballs, right? You just make it just, as soon as you learn one thing, then you want to learn the next and the next and the next. And so then you can't stop. I've been doing embroidery. It's all kinds of because you got to do all this stuff to, have a cool outfit and a cool camping setup and everything. So you just make everything, It's very addictive.
To be more authentic than what you could be normally. Wow.
Exactly. It's great. So, and then there's people who teach you new things, and then you watch YouTube, and then how I am, right? I get completely 100% into something. And so then I just it's hard to imagine. But yeah. And then I just keep making more stuff and learning the next thing, and I make another thing. And, so I'm hook, line, and sinker. So I haven't painted for a while because I've been so focused on doing other stuff. I do have a Gundam model that I'm going to get out and build soon. I don't even know if I'm going to paint this one, because they come all the parts are colored based on what that particular model looks like in that particular episode of whatever cartoon it's from, right? Whatever series it's from. But I generally paint them anyway, because then the paint looks much nicer than just like the red plastic and the white plastic or whatever, right? But this one is just like all white or like a grayish color, so it looks kind of fine by itself. So I might just build this one and just be like, look, it's done. I did it. And it didn't take that long. And now I don't have to dedicate, weeks of,
Yeah.
So that I'll do soon. And I do have another model airplane that I want to build this year that I got last year that I just never got around to. So I've been doing like all my like favorite planes from World War II. So I have a P-38 Lightning waiting for me to build. So, but that definitely needs to be painted and everything because, has to look super cool. So.
Do you have a display shelf that you put the planes on, or do you hang them from the ceiling or anything?
I don't have a display shelf yet. I'm going to be at some point, Kevin, I wish you lived here still because I need a contractor in the worst fucking way. But I'm going to be building an office here, and then I'm going to have a shelf behind my desk. So like on Zoom calls, you can see my nice, clean, organized, display of various things. So that's where the robots will go. That's where the model airplanes will go. That's where some Gru figures will go, and very select things on a nice, clean shelf.
Nice.
So. Yeah, you bastard. You had to move.
Sorry, my life took over, but
how dare you not think of me before you moved, Kevin?
I would never leave. If I did that for everybody that said that to me, I would never left.
Friends for 30 years and you just abandoned me.
Now I have to figure out how to build a shelf.
No, it's not the shelf. It's a whole freaking story. We have the sun porch that just needs to be completely overhauled. And we were going to have a second story put on the sun porch, and the sun porch fixed up, all new windows, all insulated and everything, turned into an all season room. And the office was going to be on the second floor, but we had to get a variance for that. And I had to get an architect to draw up plans. I hired a contractor who was ready to do the job. And then the township denied the variance, and they were just like, nah, you can't do that. And we're like, what? And so I spent thousands of dollars on plans, down payment on the contractor, all just lost.
Oh my God.
I'm out. I was out like, I don't know, like $12,000 or something. Got nothing done. No work done. Just gone. Because then the job was too small, and then the contractor didn't really want to do it, and he was going to do it, but he was going to charge me way more than it should cost because he just didn't really want to be bothered. He was like a bigger job contractor. And so now I'm trying to find a contractor who will do this like smaller job.
Oh.
And that's why I have an office in the living room, and not in my nice new office.
That sucks.
I'm so pissed.
There was somebody at work that was talking about when they moved into their house up towards Allentown, they had to get a move-in permit from the township so they could move into their house.
That's almost like, well, and see, every township's different. So I mean, there's no, townships take the national code and then they do their own interpretations, add their own, what regulations they want to include, because depending on their area and what, the architecture and all the different things, so I mean, every township is different. And that's why I always used to tell every customer, you can't just base off of one to the other. So
yeah, that's insane.
It's something like that. I mean, to hear that,
it's heartbreaking.
It's shit is what it is. There ain't no two ways about it, because there's no reason to make somebody, a homeowner, go through all that only then to just shit on them at the end,
right.
You could have discussed it up front. You could have had some preliminary drawings, get them some ideas, approach a township and say, hey, is this something, that I'd be willing to do, and give me some clear guidance before you start investing thousands of dollars. Is just beyond me how. But again, every company is, everything's run idiotic anymore. So it gets worse. It just has gotten worse, which is why I haven't done any. I did a little bit of contracting since I've been here, but I'm pretty much done with it. I pretty much the belt is hung up. So
wow.
I don't, you know, and you know, I did a bathroom for friends of mine down here, a bathroom remodel. It should have taken me 3 weeks, but ended up taking me 6 weeks because damaged product. And then when you got to try to get a replacement, you know, I ended up, I had three shower components. So the job just kept getting held up, and everything is just so much more frustrating and daunting. And I'm like, this ain't worth it. It just ain't worth it, you know. And that, you know, so I didn't have to go to the extent of what Bryan did there, but that to me is just insane. That's, you know, that's just shows you the bureaucracy of the township to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
He's not the only one in the freaking borough that it's happened to. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, when you get variances and stuff like that, a lot of times what they'll say is like, you know, well, you have to pay an extra fee, because that's usually much all they really want is the money. And then what they'll ask your neighbors if they're okay with it. And if your neighbors sign off on it, then you can proceed.
You know, my grumpy old neighbors next door showed up and said, no, I think it'll ruin the look of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
well,
yeah.
Oh my God.
I got shot down.
And then my other neighbor on the other side, he saw me a couple of weeks later out in the backyard. He's like, oh, yeah, I got the letter. He's like, I don't care what you do to your house, so I didn't come because it was like, I just figured why it's not my business. It's like, well, it might have been good if you were there because.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, most likely you would have had to have both of them sign off, but because, you know, your houses are, you know, so close, you know, so that they would most likely have to have both of them say yes. So it might not have made any difference anyway. Most likely it wouldn't have, but it's just to go to that extent, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just sucks.
It was horse shit.
I empathize for it, man. I really do. So
unreal.
So someday I'll have a place to put my model airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So hopefully you'll find somebody reputable and does good work and be able to
do something.
Yeah. Accomplish what you want to set out to accomplish.
We'll see. We'll see.
It's not
because there's parts of it that I could do myself because I do a lot of shit myself, but there's parts of it I'm like, this is just like a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to mess this up and have water leaking and stuff. Doing interior work is fine. Like that exterior work and like making sure that it's all done correctly. And it's like, that's just a little bit beyond my comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's why I got to hire somebody, you know?
I was okay redoing the basement in our old house where it's just superficial to make it look nice. Drywall studs, nothing really structurally supported, but yeah, I'm not totally comfortable with plumbing or outside to inside configurations.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
not yet.
Smart. I mean, even myself doing this stuff, and I have, been grateful that I had the exposure and be trained in so many areas and be so diverse. That's what I felt my selling point was. And so, but there's still certain things that I challenge myself. I like to challenge myself, but I'm willing to say, like, I don't feel comfortable touching that.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel homeowners, when you have that approach, you just got to be smart about it. Because if there's something that, it seems nice, like I said, all the DIY shows I always used to say, like, they always leave stuff out. So just because you watch the show and that's exactly what you're doing, they don't show you everything, and there's a reason why they don't show you everything. But yeah, it's, if you don't feel comfortable, trust your instincts and, don't go.
Yep. I liked running in that basement at that time. I liked running the wire and figuring out where all my cables were going and whatnot, but I wasn't touching the power box in the house. I called an electrician to do that. I was comfortable wiring everything up to a certain point, but I wanted him to come in, check it all, and then tie it to the box.
Yeah.
I don't mind touching the box. That's not a big, I've gotten over that fear. I've done it so many times now that it's like, whatever. But I'm more careful than like electricians are. Electricians won't like turn stuff off. They'll just do it. And I go in and I just shut everything off. Now I know the wire is still live from the outside because you can't shut that off.
Right.
But at least anywhere else that I touch on the box isn't live. And I've watched electricians like just put a new circuit into a hot box, completely hot. And I'm just like, okay, that's I'll
Yep.
never do that.
We just had some electrical work done outside, and he's like, "It doesn't matter if you're home or not. I'm not going to turn anything off." And I'm like, "You're what?" He said, "Yeah, I'm comfortable enough, and I've done it long enough. I don't have to." I'm like, "Okay, I'm glad I'm not going to be here then."
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've done a lot. I do most of the stuff I used to do live tie-ins and all that
Wow.
stuff.
Yeah. Nope. Not yet.
Once you get zapped, I mean, I've gotten zapped. I'm not saying
I have been mildly zapped when I've plugged in something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, and once that happens, you're like, well, that's not that big of a deal, So, and for me, it's
You get an
like
irregular heartbeat, 'cause
right.
your toenails fall out or whatever.
6 months down the road, the little box that I touch starts to smoke and flame.
back when I was doing residential, when right out of high school, I was in the late '80s. Me and there was an old Dutchman, and we used to work together. And all we did was finish work. And he was a craftsman. I learned so much from that guy. He was fantastic. So he and I used to just go to these jobs, and all we did was trim work and case work and all the finish work and such. And so when we go to a house, they would always have an outlet upstairs and an outlet downstairs live, so that we could plug the miter saw in and the air compressor. And so it was in the wintertime. So in the mornings, at 7 a.m. when we were starting, it wasn't light out, So we went into a house, plugged into the kitchen, and no power, So I went downstairs. Well, because it was cold, the batteries in his flashlight were dead. So we had no light. And so I went down in the basement, and normally what they would do is put like 4 breakers in, and then they would put a panel cover over top of the bus bars. And so I went down.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. I went down in the dark. I waited till my eyes adjusted, saw the panel, just vaguely, went over, and then I reached in to try to feel the breakers so I could flip them. They didn't put the cover over the bus bars, and I went in and hit the bus bars, and I took the full. But
yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying it's nothing. It certainly is something, but
I'm surprised you were able to have a kid after that.
The funny thing was, at that time I was doing side work, and I had just moved into another apartment, and I made an agreement with the landlord because they were new apartments and they weren't finished. So I said I would do the finishes in my apartment, and then I also do the other 3. So I was doing side work. So when that happened that day, I came home from work, and I went to work, and I worked till midnight, and I was not tired. I mean, I kept working. Because I was not tired at all.
It's healthier for you than cocaine, Kevin. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Maybe it's like the ultimate party drug, and just
no withdrawals.
Touch your breaker box and then go out dancing all night.
Yeah, just get a jolt.
So that was my experience. So I mean, like I said, I've gotten zapped and stuff, but I did a lot of stuff. Putting breakers in a breaker box is nothing, and I mean, you just got to be respectful. It's like anything else. It's just operating a power tool. You got to respect it. You got to know it and respect it. And I
common sense.
Like I would not take the lines coming in from the street and then hook them up. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously that would get turned off as well and stuff. But I wouldn't want to mess with that. I don't want to do a meter base. I wouldn't want to. You know what I mean? So I know when to say when. It's smart to know when to say when. So. That's the only advice I can give any homeowner.
The bottom line is, Kevin, do you know any contractors in the Reading, Philadelphia area who want to do a sun porch overhaul job?
I've been referring all my stuff. Well, you remember Tony that helped me out at your house down in Ardmore before?
Yeah.
That's who I've been referring to all my clients that had called me up, and wanted me to do work after I left PA. So he's been the one that I've been referring everybody to. But because I've been referring him all my clients, and he's always been busy.
He's overbooked.
Probably way overbooked. So.
God damn it.
And then the one other guy that actually works at Bachman's now.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't still work there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, my one friend that I went to school with, he had a contracted business, and he had enough of it, and he now I guess is an estimator for Bachman. So, and he's been doing that for like 2-3 years now. He loves it. So he's like, screw it. So yeah, that's kind of where things are. Most of the guys that I know now are either not doing it or moved on to something else, in the field.
Yeah.
So Murd, you're not like leaving the Christmas decoration business for the contracting business or anything? Little side hustle.
At no time soon or distant. No.
All right, just checking. Oh man.
I can't say I don't think of you, Bryan, when I lived down here, because I every time I drive around here, you're on my mind because I can't stand it. And I think to myself, Bryan would be blowing a goddamn gasket right now. Virginia people can't drive for shit, dude. I mean, it's no secret. Ever since I've been coming down here for 4 years now, as soon as you go down below the Mason-Dixon line, people can't drive for shit. And once you get into Virginia, it's worse. And I've been saying it for years. I actually now have national support now because they released a report nationally of the worst drivers in the United States. And Virginia's like number 4 or 5. I was like, see, I have validation. But
Beltway syndrome.
It's crazy. Like you could go down a 4-lane highway and there's people in every lane doing under the speed limit, and nobody gets over, nobody moves.
Oh,
I'm telling you, it's like every day, dude. It's like anytime you go. That's why I think of you all the time, because I'm thinking like Bryan would be blowing a goddamn gasket right now.
Keep talking like that. My eyes going to start twitching.
I know you would be like freaking bouncing off the windshield.
Yeah, that makes me nuts.
It does. It's stupid. It's I've never experienced what I've experienced since I started coming down here with people.
Wow.
It's like they're oblivious, like they're in their own little bubble, and they just do what they do, and they don't care.
Well, my driving experience now is next level, because in the 10 years that we've been here, city driving, and mind you, we're 2 miles from the city limit, so we're practically in the city, and so the behavior bleeds. It's not restricted to the edge of the city. It is driving in Philadelphia now there are no rules. Like, you just do whatever you want, wherever you want, and be damned if it causes a problem for someone else. There aren't nearly enough cops to like enforce that. You might get unlucky and do something crazy as a cop happens to be driving by, but I've seen them drive and just keep driving because they got other shit to do. They're not worried about somebody who went straight in the turning lane, right? Like, or went straight from the shoulder or whatever around a bus and then cut off and then double parked right next to an empty parking space. And, I mean, it's completely bonkers. Like I used to live in Mexico right for that summer, and it was like, wow, traffic laws are kind of like suggestions, not really laws. And now that has come to Philadelphia. It's pretty much just like driving in a third world country. Like, and that's not an exaggeration. It's out of control. And so now you just have to be prepared for any idiot doing anything they want, anytime they want.
Yeah.
So
you're a defensive drive.
Yeah, if you don't aggressively drive, you're gonna have a problem. Like, it's not gonna be good for you. Right?
Yeah. Wow.
So when I get to places where they don't, like drive, like I'm doubly angry now because I'm used to such a hyper level of chaos that people going slow on a highway is like, oh, no. They'd be run off the road if they would try to pull that shit. Like legit run off the road. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Wow.
Sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I can only imagine with the inner city like that.
I can't even imagine.
Well, I mean, and especially, granted, I mean, I live in the oldest part of Richmond, and 3 blocks behind me is the second oldest part. But that, compared to like the oldest parts of Philly, are different, because like when you go down, you get into the older parts of Philly. I mean, that's basically like a 1-lane street, and trucks are trying to go down. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. these roads, even though that this is still, I mean, you have houses behind me that are, over 200 years old, and everything's still where it was, but the roads are still 2 lanes, so why it is here, there, that, and not Philly, considering that the cities are basically, the same age, but, ish, I would say, but I know from being in Philly that, like some of them roads, I mean, like you can barely get down there with one vehicle, so when I see inner city here, that's not what Philly is. So Philly's a whole different animal altogether.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, driving in New York, when we used to go to New York all the time, I'd drive in New York and I would, like it's just that you got to accept when you go to New York, like you just got to do what you got to do, You can't sit there and worried about, maybe he should go. No, you just got to do your thing. I need to get over. You just get over.
You make a lane and you
make it happen. It ain't happening. So Philly's kind of the same way, but there's more limitations that way because of the way some of the older streets are and stuff.
Yeah, people say all the time that they are scared to drive in New York. I'm like, New York, it's easy compared to Philly. So I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like New York is nice and structured. It's mostly a grid. Streets. Philly, it's chaos. Man, just chaos. I don't.
Anyway,
whatever. This is not why people tuned in to listen to us gripe about traffic.
That's not why they go.
Oh my God.
Well,
We had some movie and TV and comic talk. It's all right.
Peter's going to be like, this is what happens when I leave you. I go for one measly CAT scan and you're talking about traffic. Oh, and contractors. Yeah.
But it ties together with the painting and the modeling and all that. It's all good.
True. It's true. Kevin, did you see the pictures that I posted on Facebook of the stuff that
I have seen some? Yeah. I mean, I because I don't post a lot on. I mean, I rarely post on Facebook and stuff that the algorithms. I don't get to see. I have to consciously go and seek out people. I have to I haven't seen anything from them for a while. I got to go look. So
yeah.
So I mean,
frustrates me.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that, but I've seen some of the stuff, but I probably haven't seen everything. No, so I'll have to make a conscious effort now.
I'm gonna text you now, so you don't have to go look.
Oh, okay.
It's just
I'm working on a project I've been doing for the past couple of years now, and I've worked on it more now this year. How I started getting into Photoshop was, I started taking old comic covers and trying to update them, that was my motivation for doing art. I wanted to take older, covers and try to update them with modern technology. So that's how I taught myself Photoshop, 20 years ago. So now I made a project where I make a dedicated that I'm taking my favorite old covers and doing updated versions of them so that I can print them out and frame them and hang them up. So that's what I just finished another one now. I got 4 of them in the bag so far. I don't know how many more I'm going to do, but I did Spider-Man 151. I did Daredevil 182. I did Captain Marvel 37, and then I did the remember the old indexes, the old Marvel indexes?
Oh, sure.
No, well, the Daredevil one that they did was Frank Miller did the cover of that one. It was a fold open front and back. It was one big picture. So I edited out some of the characters and just kept Daredevil, Elektra, and Black Widow in it. And so that's like you do with your crafts. That's what I've been doing. I mean, because I wanted to make. I haven't done art in a while, so I was like, that's one of the things that I wanted to do once I moved here. I wanted to dedicate more creative time to myself. So, that's what I've been doing. So it's like I continue to work on those. I mean, I'm doing a lot of writing now too. So I have a couple of writing projects that I'm working on. But art-wise, that's what I'm doing. But I haven't really, I have a lot of space that I can really dedicate to, but I want to do some more painting too. I want to get my stuff out of the locker and start taking some older images or something like that and try to watercolor paint them and stuff like that and try to mess around with stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'll post some stuff when I have it, and I'll do before and after, original print and what my new version of it is, and see You can guys
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
That'd be cool to see.
I might ask you for your thoughts. So I'm going to be getting my Grus all bound, like the entire, like every single Gru that's ever been printed, like in a whole series of volumes, right? And the company can do the printed covers, like not a slip cover, but like on the actual book, right? So you design the full color thing, you send them the high res images, and they like literally print it right on the cover, like a fancy hardcover you would get from Marvel or DC or whatever, right?
Right.
So I've designed the cover, the series of covers, and I'm like 80% happy with them, right? Like they would be fine. I could get them printed, they would be fine. But I'm not a designer. And like, I know that someone with just like a little more design sense than me could say, oh, you know what? We're going to just like put this over here. We're going to add a little shadow there, or let's add a word box here that has like a description or something, there's like, just to make it look, because I'm not Chip Kid, you know what I mean? Like that's not what I do. Right. So like before I go and have all my comics turned into these books with a permanent cover, I just want to have like another set of eyeballs on them saying, did you think about doing this? So maybe I'll send you a Photoshop file. And when you have 10 minutes, you can just take a peek and tell me what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can, review what you have and then maybe ask you some questions and maybe see if there's something I can add to them. I'd be more than happy.
That'd be awesome.
See how we can bring it right back to comics. See how we can.
Yeah.
See, it all works. Peter doesn't have to worry.
What's crazy is the binding is like not expensive, even with the full color thing. It's like
really,
I don't know. It's like $18 of a book or something.
Really, I would have thought that had jumped through the roof by now.
I mean, last time I looked, obviously they could update their website anytime, but like I printed out the papers last year because I was like gonna just do it finally. And then I never, because I wasn't satisfied with the cover, so I didn't quite do it. And it was like really cheap. Now, when you got to do, 10 volumes or whatever, is going to add up. But it was like, wow, I'm surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm surprised as well. I didn't think, I just like Shane, I would think probably prices would have gone up.
Oh, yeah. I would have thought that it jumped astronomically.
Huh. That's great, though. I'm glad to hear it because, I mean, if I would have kept anything, I thought about doing that because, Matt was talking to me about it when I was getting rid of everything. And he was like, "You're going to keep anything?" And I was like, I'm contemplating, keeping, maybe some things. Like I thought maybe the, Munch Sienkiewicz Moon Knight series and like the Jim Starlin Captain Marvel and maybe the whole Adam Warlock, the Gil Kane and Jim Starlin run and, stuff like that. And I thought maybe, put them in binders and, and get them bound and have hardcover volumes of those. But I decided against it. And I was just like, nah, I have trades, probably everything anyway. So it's like, I'm not going to spend the money and then for something I already have in a way. So,
yeah.
Okay. I lied. So it's $35 a book.
Well, still you get to create it yourself and they print it the way you want it.
What do you pay for a hardcover nowadays?
Yeah, well, I was just looking when you guys were talking. So this last Ronin book's $30 for 5 or 6 issues, and that's not terrible. It's hardback.
Yeah,
but I would have thought that doing it custom would have even cost more than that.
I mean, aren't those Marvel Masterworks? Aren't they like freaking $75 or something like that?
Oh yeah, and even simple DC trades are getting up there too, $30-$35 depending on what it is. Let alone like a regular size omnibus is what, $125-$150 sometimes.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, well, it's like we've always said, if you didn't get the discount, you wouldn't buy half of the shit.
Oh, right. Yeah. If I wasn't doing mail order all these years, I would have never gotten half of what I did.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought this Miracle Man omnibus if I hadn't gotten, I pre-ordered it and got the discount.
50% off. Yeah.
So otherwise,
no, you're right. I would have dropped out of comics long ago if it wasn't for the discounts online. Not with when a single comic's $4.99 or something crazy now.
Yeah, this is $100, the Miracle Man omnibus, which isn't bad, really. I guess you can, when putting in that context, it's not bad. That's quite a bit of stuff there. I don't know. but I would have never spent $100 for it.
Right.
So,
yeah, I got this. I think this was off Amazon for 40 or 45% off because I missed the pre-order on it. But again, that I would never pay full price for it, but I'll pay 40% off.
Some things never change.
Yeah.
So that's my big project. I just want to get them all. I want to do them all at once because I want them to match. Like I want it to be like the same printer ink configuration, everything like the whole. So I'm just going to send a huge box with every GRU I own all bundled up and just be like, do it here.
How many volumes do you plan on doing?
Well, I think I'm going to do 20 issues first. So the Marvel run was 120 issues, right?
Okay.
So that's 5 volumes or 6 volumes, right?
6, yeah.
6 volumes. And then there was like there's a lot of Dark Horse stuff, but there was an Image for a little bit. And then he went, I think did it even go to Mirage for a short time? So there's like 12 issues here and 10 issues there. So I'll have to figure out exactly how I'm going to break it up, So there might be a 1 volume that has 22 issues, but then there might be, I'm going to try to keep it to 20 though. And then the Dark Horse stuff was almost all 4-issue miniseries. So I'll just do like 5 4-issue miniseries. And like, I don't remember how many there are and, all that. Yeah. So I have to do the math and lay them all out because I actually had the first 30 issues of GRU bound years ago when we first discovered it, but that was like a little too thick because I was going to do GRU in 4 volumes and I got the 1 volume. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty thick. And then people started posting pictures of the glossy covers and I'm like, ooh, I want that. And so I have a whole second run of GRU because Vince gave me at like episode 200 or something a whole bunch of GRUs. It was mostly a full run of Marvel. So the 30 issues that I had bound, I just have again, thanks to Vince.
Nice.
So I'm just going to get them rebound and, in smaller volumes.
You're planning on the same cover for every one, just variation?
You want all the spines to match?
All the spines will match exactly. And so I did I scanned in a whole bunch of covers and made a collage of covers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I applied a tone over top of it. So I have an orange one, a blue one, a red one. And I was thinking maybe I'll do multiple colors, but now I'm thinking, no. I think they're going to all be the same. I'm going to pick my favorite color, the one that looks the best, and they're all going to match.
I don't know that I could do multiple colors. I think I'd have to match if I did something like that.
But what I did was I've been, most of the covers feature GRU very prominently, right? So I went into a number of covers of like some of my favorites, and I cropped out GRU, so so all the background's removed, and then put that. So there's a different one on every cover, but it's still the same background with the GRU logo.
Okay.
Right. And then the same thing on the spine, but just with the volume number being different. And then on the back, I think I have the logo again, and I'll put some text that says which issues are in there. I don't think I'm going to put mini covers of every issue because 20 covers, that's a lot. It's a lot of scanning.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, but I want to put text in there. But I think that's the part that really needs the work. It's I don't just want a white box with black Arial that says, GRU Marvel issues 1 through 20. That's boring, right? So it needs to look a little nicer, more designed. And that's where I'm drawing a blank. I'm not really sure what to do there. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
this. Cool.
I was thinking when you were saying about it, I was well, if you had a collage, that'd be neat. You could do and you could do it per volume too. If you do a collage of the covers as a background, and that you could, do your photo filter on top of that or something. And that way they're not distinct, but yet distinguishable. So that way it applies to that volume, but they're not standout. And then put each volume have a different large picture of GRU.
Yeah, I think I did 6 or 8 of those so far, and obviously
the front cover is pretty
more.
easy. We'll just have to do the spine, and then the back cover, obviously, like you said, we'll just have to come up with some type of format, and then we can apply it to each volume or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Yeah,
See
but
what
I mean,
can
I
do.
started work on that like, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been sitting there on my hard drive just waiting for me to do something with it. It's so stupid, you know.
That's what
Yeah.
these were like. Those two Daredevil covers that I redid. I think I looked at the original Photoshop files when I did the flats, because I had to, you got to take out all the colors, and then I have to do some inking to, to make it, to like get it to a true clear black and white image again. And I think one was 2009, and I think another one was like 2012, and they sat. It's like a great idea, but then you get inundated with other things, and I never went back to it. So
Somehow the last 10 or so years have flown by in a blink of an eye. Things that you start back then, and all of a sudden, poof, we're almost in 2023, and I didn't do anything with that since 2009.
I know. It's ridiculous.
doesn't take long.
No.
Hey, look at that. Come here. We got a new puppy.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. I did see that. I did see when you posted
yeah,
that.
I did see that.
Oh,
This is Saga. She is a mix husky. And
Nice.
We got her from the shelter. Don't eat my microphone.
well, how's her and I get along?
Oh, they get along great. They play all the time. Ivy can't wait till the puppy gets up in the morning to play. All right,
Nice.
go down.
But you had the German Shepherd. You got a German Shepherd one time, and then
We
that one
did. That didn't work out. We tried really hard for like 6 months, and that I was very sad because he just,
Yeah, it was bad timing too, because I was when I was in a state of flux, and I know you had asked me, and I would have loved to take it, but just not.
He
with
was a
everything going.
really sweet boy, but he got this thing and we have a good friend who's a dog. She's a veterinarian who also trains dogs. She's like a huge fan of she's like such a dog person. And so she was trying to help us train him, and he was really sweet, just wanted to be loved, but he got this thing where anytime I would make eye contact with him, he would pee. So he was totally housebroken in the sense that like he wouldn't just randomly go. He would ring the bells and want to go outside, right? And he didn't chew stuff. He wasn't destructive or anything. He was just a sweet boy. But I would look at him because he's my dog, and I love German Shepherds. Like, oh yeah, and then he would be like, oh no. If he was laying on our bed, if he was on the living room floor, if anywhere, I was like, well, we couldn't get him to stop. So I would have to like pet him by not looking. But like sometimes, I'd open the bathroom door and he'd be there, and it would be like, whoa, I just looked at the dog. No, he's just
like having Medusa for a dog.
I mean, it was really, really, it just sucked. And we just got like exasperated because it was like you were cleaning pee 5 times a day, because you can't go through a whole day without accidentally looking at your dog,
Right.
And it was just like this, we can't do it. Can't do it.
Must have been traumatized by something.
Oh,
yeah. And he was so great because like he was a really smart and really good boy, because he was like 2 years old or whatever. So, the puppy stuff was over, and,
Right. But you still got a prime time. You can train, they're still willing to work.
Yeah.
So
that's a
lot
shame.
of energy.
So we had to give him back to the shelter.
Easy.
No, it was really hard because, a lot of people get animals because they're like, oh, we can do it. And then they like, a couple months later, like, this is a pain in the ass. I've given them back. And that's like, or like, oh, guess what? We decided we're moving to Denver, and we're not going to take the dog. Well, what? What are you're doing what? People do all kinds of dumb shit like that all the time. But we're dog owners. We love dogs. We've had 1 million of them. Tasha's had 1 million. It's like, this is what we do. And it's like, we want this other dog, big, beautiful dog. Love German Shepherds. The best dog I ever had is a German Shepherd, like the whole thing. And then it was like, after 6 months, we felt like such assholes, like, calling the shelter and being like, we have to give this dog back. And we're just like, oh God, hanging our head in shame, trying to, and felt so bad for the dog because he was a sweet boy,
Yeah. No, I totally get that, dude. That's
yeah.
But I'm glad this one's working out for you.
Yeah, so far so good. And she's Clara's dog, so she sleeps in Clara's room, and Clara's training her and takes her for walks and does all the stuff.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And she's like stupid smart. So it could be good or it could be very bad. Yeah.
Time will tell. How long have you had her now?
Like a month now.
Okay.
We got her right after Thanksgiving, like 2 days after Thanksgiving or something. Yeah.
I remember you posting. I didn't think it was that recent. I thought you had her longer than that. But...
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully it does continue to work out well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Very cool.
Any parting words of wisdom, Murd? Anything you're looking forward to in the new year?
Well, actually, you recall, Bryan, the first time we ever met?
At that play at Conrad Weiser? Yeah, at Sound of Music. Yeah.
It was kind of our Superboy meets young Bruce Wayne moment. Yeah, well, I'm in the Sound of Music again this spring, and I'm playing the same character I was playing.
Do you remember all your lines?
Fewer than I thought I would, but it has been 28 years. I can be forgiven for being a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm playing Max Detweiler again. I'm gonna grow a mustache this time, I've decided.
Wow.
Nice.
That's a thing that's on the horizon there.
When's that? Of course, when's your opening night?
Last weekend in April, I think.
Okay. Keep me posted.
Mm-hmm. I'll do that.
Yeah,
and we can also look forward to the upcoming Wild Pig Summit.
Yeah.
Which I believe is on tap for mid-February.
Yeah, I think so.
Gather in New Jersey, commune, enjoy some fellowship. And I will have to leave a little early because I'll be having a Sound of Music rehearsal on Sunday.
For anyone who, didn't hear the story on, episode whatever the hell.
Previously on Comic Geek Speak.
Yeah. When Murd was in the Sound of Music, I was working at the movie theater, and there was another woman who worked there with me, and she was in Conrad Weiser. She was a senior at Conrad Weiser. So I was a couple years older than her, but when you're a senior in college and a junior in college, or a senior in high school and junior in college, it doesn't really seem to be a big deal, right? Yeah. So I dated her for a little while, and she wanted to go see the high school play. I don't really like musicals. I think you all know that. Like, I'm not a musical guy, but we know. You do anything for your girlfriend, whatever you want to go, I'll go to your play, right? It's fine. And I was sitting there like not very entertained, just because like I don't really like musicals. And so it's like, okay. But there was this one dude on stage who was like really captured me. And I was like, that guy is good. I don't care about the rest of this. I have no idea who Adam is. No earthly idea. Right. And after the show is over, and you're like, everyone's like milling about out in the hall, and people are giving people flowers or whatever. And I was just like, my girlfriend wanted to talk to her. Like, her friend might have been in the play. I can't remember.
The guy who played Baron von Trapp was her ex-boyfriend, actually.
Oh, okay.
Well,
was Kate in the musical at all?
Kate Manbeck, yeah, she played the Mother Abbess, yeah.
Yeah, that's who we were waiting to see, is Kate.
Okay.
Right? And so we're waiting around, and it just so happened that among the sea of people, Murd was like walked like right past me or something, or I walked right past, whatever, right, accidentally. And I said, "Hey, dude, you were amazing. You were the best one in the show," or something like that, right? Because I was really impressed. And then that was it. Never saw him again. And then when Matt introduces us, I'm like, wait a minute. Are you that guy?
I don't know if I ever heard that.
Like, what are the odds of that, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty sensational, yeah. Yeah, and Matt was in The Sound of Music too. He was a random Nazi soldier.
Well, that was the cool thing, though, that you had two like German exchange students that year, right? And they played like the heads of the so they like marched up the aisles like shouting in German like orders, and it was like like whoa.
They ad-libbed a little speech involving tanks rolling in and flattening the Von Trapp Manor, and they ended it with a nice rousing Heil Hitler, and it's
wow.
They drew applause, not so much for the Heil Hitler part, but for the authenticity of it all.
Yeah, it was really gripping. Like you're like, whoa! Everyone was like, "What the hell's happening?"
Wow.
Damn. I don't know if I even heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
That's an interesting little, like, Comic Geek Speak issue number -1 story.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I was just talking about it today because I was talking about the Christmas barn with a couple coworkers who there's one coworker I have, and she has 8 trees in her house that she sets up every year, each one differently themed.
Yep,
and she's
that's our
looking
kind of
to add
person.
2 more. And I said, well, hey, have you ever gone here? And she says, no. And I'm like, oh my God, you got to go to Merd's. So she's going to probably look it up sometime and go out and visit.
I hope so.
I was saying about how when I was a kid and we'd go to Ocean City, New Jersey for vacations, we would go to Stone Harbor. And I know I was in Murdo's Christmas barn in Stone Harbor when I was a kid, 30, 40 odd years ago. And I wish I'd have pictures or something to tie that together to see your mom and dad or a little you in the background somewhere.
It's entirely
over
possible.
those years.
Did you see our dog? We usually had our golden retriever behind the counter. In those days.
I'm sure I must have. Probably wouldn't have petted. My mom and dad would have said no. But yeah, that's the closest I have to a negative zero story with Merd. But Brian's is much more interesting. That's awesome.
That is awesome. That's great. No, I don't. Like I said, I don't recall hearing that.
No, that's cool.
Cool. All right, gentlemen. Well, thanks. It's good to see you, and I hope everyone has a good New Year.
You too. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.